Hey, witches!
Hi, hello, and welcome back to another episode of whatever the fuck Brandy named this, but it's Folklore. The
It's
book
called
of something.
The Boat of Ra.
Oh, boat. Boat.
Yeah, because Ra takes a journey every day across the sky and through Duat, which I did look up the pronunciation and I probably am still pronouncing it wrong, so I apologize in advance for that. But basically, like, he's got this boat, and during the day when he's sailing across the sky, it's called the Manzet boat. And it's like luxurious, and it's got silks and sails and gold drippings and like all of this trimming and fun things happening, and he's just having a great time. And then in the evening, um, he goes to like the western horizon on his little boat, to the portals of Duat. And there's a gap of this part I forgot to look up, Abydos. And that's where the portals are. And it says a company of gods. I don't know who those gods are. It did not say. But they're there, and they strip the boat of its splendor. They take all of the luxurious stuff off of it, down to where it's just like a regular little boat. And yeah, my brain just like did a reset, so that's fine. Then it passes through the portal of Duat and has the lifeless body of Ra within, because he basically has to die every night to make this journey. So,
With him or within him?
huh?
You said the like lifeless body,
In the boat. It's in the boat.
so it's got to be with him in the boat.
Yeah, he's dead in the boat. Yeah.
I thought you were like saying that Raw's got to have this headless, lifeless, whatever corpse
No.
with him when he
Ra
does this.
is dead in the boat.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes. Sorry. And so the 12 goddesses of the night come on the boat with him to guide him through Duat. And without them, he could not make this journey every night. So the Duat is separated into 12. I'm going to refer to them as countries because that's what the source I was using referred to them as. But basically, like 12 worlds. And each one has a gate. And each one of the goddesses is over one of these worlds or countries. So these are also like not gates that you could like climb over. Like these are very well guarded. The top is like got spears on it, and it's pretty intense. So the first country is called the Watercourse of Ra. I'm sure it has a beautiful Egyptian name. My source did not mention the Egyptian name for most of these. It said them in English. This country, the gate on the outside of this country is very like somber. There's 6 serpents, and when it refers to serpents, sometimes it means snakes, sometimes it means dragons. This case, it means snakes, because they say a couple times later, serpents with legs and wings, and I'm like, dragons. Okay. But in this particular case, it's just like regular serpents. So I'm imagining like cobras with their little like, what do they call it? My brain is just like fucking
They're hoods?
hoods. That's what it's called. And they're breathing fire. So, like, that's the only light in this area. And then the goddess of the hour, the first hour, comes to the front of the boat. And has I got ahead of myself. Every gate has a monstrous snake guarding the door, and none may pass by except the person who knows his name. So they have to tell the snake his real name to get him to move out of the way. And the only person that knows the name of each snake is the goddess of that country. So this first one in particular has two snakes, and there is a snake that breathes fire and a snake that breathes poison. So there is no sneaking past them. You have to, like, know them. Sorry.
What up, Judy? Saw you last week. How you doing, girl? Yep, I'm coming on through.
Right? Basically. So
you gotta know them? Bet.
they get through this first exactly. Hour, which is very, like, dark and sad and melancholy. And I literally, I'm going to say this, I copied this sentence because at the end of every country, it said this same sentence and I liked it. So I wrote it down every time. So it says, then the goddess of the first hour makes way for the goddess of the second hour, and she calls aloud the name of the guardian of the gate. So now we are in the second country, which is the only fucking one that it gave me, like, the Egyptian name for, and I completely forgot to look up the pronunciation, but I'm pretty sure it's Aranos. So the river is very wide here. And there are 4 shallops, which I looked it up. Shallops are light sailboats that are used in shallow water. These 4 shallops have no oars, masts, rudders. They're just floating around, free floating. And they're really strange. They have, like, shadowy shapes on them, and are, like, just floating around. It's weird. And the shadowy shapes have the forms of men, but they're, like, not men. It's a very weird place. But all of the shadowy shapes or spirits or whatever they are here live here in peace because of the snake guardians. Like, nobody can get in or out. And so the people here are happy and live in peace because of the snakes, but also because of the spirits of the corn, which are Besa, Nepra, and Tepuin. And they make
Tatooine.
They make the crops fruitful, basically. Like, they make the harvest good. And then the goddess of the second hour makes way for the goddess of the third hour, and she calls aloud the name of the guardian of the gates. Oh, and then they're in the third country. And then my stuff just updated and went, like, super crazy, so I have to get back up to the third country. Okay. This country is called the watercourse. Motherfucker. The watercourse of the only god. I am using my phone for my notes right now, and I don't usually use my iPad, and I can't fucking find my iPad. So, anywho, the watercourse of the only god. And this is the kingdom of Osiris. And I believe its Egyptian name is Amentet, but it's called the watercourse of the only god. So on either side of the river are, like, great shapes or statues of all the gods surrounding a big statue of Osiris himself on his throne.
Is that him balancing?
What?
I don't know. It just sounds like
That's
something's.
fireworks.
Oh, that's right. It is 4th of July almost.
Yeah. It's almost fuck America Day. So that's fireworks. And it's still fucking bright outside, so you can't fucking see them. So I don't know why we're wasting our time. But people. Anyway. Osiris. He's on his throne. This is a statue of Osiris. It's not actually him. He's on a throne, dressed as a king with the white crown of the Southland and the red crown of the Northland upon his head. So I don't know if it's like a half and half crown. I don't know how that works, but he's got 2 crowns on his head. The throne is set on top of a running stream that is clear and deep, and from those waters rises a single lotus blossom, which is the color of the sky at morning, is what it says. So like that sunrise color. On
The
top
golden
of that
hour, basically.
blossom, huh?
It's like the golden hour.
Yeah. On top of that flower stand the 4 children of Horus who assist Osiris at the judgment and who protect the bodies of the dead. I didn't go into that because I feel like we're going to talk about them more in a later episode. But they are there. And then the goddess of the 3rd hour makes way for the goddess of the 4th hour, and she calls aloud the name of the guardian of the gates, and the boat of Ra passes through. The 4th country is called Living One of Forms, and it is like a desert. It's like a desert at night-ish. It's like gloomy, it's dry, there's lots of like, it says monstrous many-headed serpents, either gliding along the ground or creeping upon legs. So like lizards and snakes, and they have many heads and they're just creepy. And they are like hissing and spreading their wings and getting all angry. But they're not directing that anger at Ra and his boat. So he's passing through safely, but they're pissed off about something, just not Ra. They're probably pissed off about Apep, but we're going to talk about that in a minute. And as they're going through this through this country, the river gets lost beneath the shifting sands. And where the river was running is now just a deep ravine. This is called the mouth of the tomb. And Osiris rules this place as well. So people are able to pass through here safely. So now the boat of Ra can no longer float. And it's changed. It like magically changes into a great and mighty serpent with glittering scales. The prow of the boat turns into the serpent's head. And the stern turns into a serpent's head with poison fangs. So all the way around, there's protection. And while they are still on the serpent, the boat hasn't changed back into a boat yet. It's still a serpent. Then the goddess of the 4th hour makes way for the goddess of the 5th hour, and she calls aloud the name of the guardian of the gate, and the boat of Ra passes through. 5th country is called Hidden. See, this one's a little longer because it goes through all 12 countries. The 5th country is called Hidden. It's dark and gloomy, and this is the motherfucker. My brain just keeps like short-circuiting. This is the realm of Sokar. That's what I was trying to say. He is the god of those who are buried. His like home is deep below the ground, and above his home rises a giant mountain of sand, and on either side of it are 2 sphinxes. In the middle of the 2 sphinxes is a serpent with 3 heads and wings. And in between his wings stands Sokar, in the form of a man with the head of a hawk. then next to his home, like next to this mountain of sand that he lives under, there's a lake, and the water of this lake is boiling. It's like really hot. And that's where the bad people go. They throw the rebels into the lake, and they boil.
Bye, bitch.
Yeah. So boiling.
It's a jacuzzi.
Yeah, but like no.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun.
And then they keep going. And remember, they're in a ravine still. So, like, there are, like, tall cliffs on either side of them because the river has not come back yet. It's still sand and a ravine.
How long does this take them?
This is just nighttime. So 12 hours.
This is like 40 day, 40 night sort of thing.
Yeah, he's in each one of these countries for an hour because this is, like, the nighttime. On the high wall of the ravine is a huge building, which is the home of night and darkness. 2 birds cling on either side of this building, and around it is a 2-headed serpent. One of his heads is fire, and one of his heads is poison. And they are there to obviously not allow anyone into the house of night and darkness. This is the home of Khepera, which is the great soul of the universe, whose emblem is the beetle or scarab, and he is the god of resurrection. He watches the coming of Ra, and in the form of a scarab, flies to the boat and just kind of chills on the boat until it's time to bring Ra back to life. And then they keep going, and they see like a light leading them to the next world. And then the goddess of the 5th hour makes way for the goddess of the 6th hour, and she calls aloud the name of the guardian of the gate. The 6th country is called Abyss of Waters. So now the river rises back up out of the sand, and the boat turns back into a boat. And on the banks of the river, there are 9 scepters of sovereignty and a monstrous lion who looms in the darkness. There are 3 shrines beside the river, and each shrine has a serpent whose breath is flame, who guarding it. And in each one, there's something really fucking weird, and eventually I'm gonna have to go back and look up more about this. But for this like overview episode, I didn't want to go too into detail about any one, because then it was going to be forever long. But in each one of these shrines, one of them has a human head, one of them has the wing of a bird, and the third has the hind part of a lion. And I just need to know why. So I'm going to go back and look up more about that later. But I did not for this one, because this is about Ra and his journey. So then the goddess of the 6th hour makes way for the goddess of the 7th hour, and she calls aloud the name of the guardian of the gate. So 7th country is called Secret Cavern. This is where Apep lives. And Apep, I think, is also called Apophis in some legends. Like, he's got 2 different names. They refer to him as both in this, but they say in this source, they in the beginning referred to him as both, but throughout used just Apep, so that's what I used as well. This is where he lives, and he is like determined to stop Ra, and to kill Ra, basically. Well, kind of. To stop Ra from coming back to life, basically, because technically Ra's already dead. He comes in the form of a huge monstrous serpent, and he opens his mouth, so he's fucking huge. Opens his mouth wide enough to swallow the waters of the river, because he's trying to swallow the boat and Ra, so Ra can't come back to life. But
You're coming with me, bitch.
yeah, but Isis, the great enchantress, is in the front of the boat. She's one of the gods that helped prepare the boat for this journey. And she recites the words of power, calling aloud across the dark river. And she basically defeats him. But what? I feel like oh no, okay, so now we're coming up there. She's in the front of the thing and she's like chanting, right? And we're coming up on Apep. There's a sandbank in the middle of the river and it's 450 cubits long. I looked it up because I was like, what the fuck is a cubit? So a cubit is an ancient unit of length, typically based on the distance from the elbow to the tip of the middle finger, which is about 1.5 feet. So 450 of these.
Damn.
Yeah. That's how long this sandbank with the serpent is. And like he is so big that he's coiled up and he's covering the whole sandbank.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. And not only that, but like he's like hissing and roaring and pissed off basically. But Isis is just standing there with her arms out chanting and she's like not even fucking worried about it. Her spells work and Apep lies helpless on the sand. It basically makes him like not frozen, but kind of like he can't attack them. And then there are 2 other gods on the boat. Their names are Selk and Herdisif. I don't know. I didn't pronounce that right, so I apologize in advance. But they jump from the boat and they bind Apep with cords and they basically stab him a lot of times with sharp knives, hoping to destroy him. But Apep is immortal and he does not die, but he's subdued for that night. The boat continues on to the burial places of the gods. These are like high mounds of sand over, and on top of each mound is a building, and at each end of the building is the head of a man. These are the burial mounds of the gods. I don't know. It's weird. And then, I didn't copy it for this one. And then whatever the goddess of the 7th country makes way for the goddess of the 8th country. And now we're in the 8th country, which is sarcophagus of the gods. This is where the dead gods live. They're dead, they're buried, they're embalmed and bandaged as men embalm and bandage the dead on the earth. But somehow they still, they yell hello to Ra as he passes. They're really far away though. Yeah, they're like, hello, I'm dead.
It's like Forrest Gump when he's going by a boat.
Yes, like what the fuck is happening? I don't know. But they are so far away that it just sounds like a murmur of bees. Like it's like a buzz.
Oh, that's weird.
But in this world, ahead of the boat are 9 followers of the gods, and in front of them are the 4 souls of Tatanen in the likeness of rams, so they're sheep. The first one is crowned with high upstanding plumes of feathers. The second one has the red crown of the Northland. The third one has the white crown of the Southland, and the fourth with the glittering disc of the sun. And then the goddess of the 8th hour makes way for the goddess of the 9th hour, and she calls aloud the name of the guardian of the gate. The 9th country is called Procession of Images. So the river here runs a lot stronger and is a lot like deeper and fuller. And the 12 star gods guard the boat with paddles in their hands, ready to help the boat if needed. On the bank of this country are 12 great hooded snakes. They're like coiled and standing up like a cobra. And they have fire breath again. This part of the river has 3 shallops floating. But these are not regular boats. They have like a weird shape. One is a cow, one is a ram, and one is the soul of a man. Whatever that's shaped like, I don't know. And from those boats, the people of this land receive offerings from the boats. I don't know. They just get stuff from the boats. And
Cool.
then the 12 or the star gods break into singing. The 12 goddesses of the night and the weaving gods and the people of this land start chanting to the glory and honor of Ra. Then
That sounds very godlike.
this whole thing sounds very God, like Christian God. And Isis in this is I don't know, obviously, but it feels like Isis is the Hecate of Egyptian mythology. So 10th country, abyss of waters, lofty of banks. So the people of this land are all like crowded along the banks of the river to watch Ra as he passes by. There are warriors armed with glittering weapons. There are peasants. Everybody's there, including 4 goddesses who are casting beams of light onto the river. Because again, it's night, so it's dark there. And Hesper goes ahead of the boat in the form of a double-headed serpent walking upon legs, and upon his heads are the crown of the Southland and the Northland, and between his coils is the great hawk of the sky. In a shallop on this stream, which it says stream, but we just said that the river was like really strong here, so like, eh. But in a shallop on this part of the river, is a snake, another snake, and his name is Life of the Earth. And he basically is like watching for the enemies of Ra to make sure that nobody comes to fuck up his journey. And then the goddess of the 10th hour makes way for the goddess of the 11th hour, and she calls aloud the guardian of the gate. So the 11th country is called Mouth of the Cavern. The river is now like much more shallow and sluggish. It's not running as fast at all. Like it's more like a creek at this point. And the boat has to be pulled onward by the gods. And they're not using like cords or ropes. They're using the body of the great serpent Mehen, who is the protector of Ra. So that's cool. This land has a red glow about it because we're in the 11th hour, so we're starting back towards morning. And so there's a red glow, but the sight of this land is just full of horror. This is where like the evildoers go. So if you imagine like what Christian hell is supposed to look like, that's the 11th hour. There are pits of fire. There are fire-breathing goddesses who guard the pits. They have gleaming swords of fire, and they're basically there to just torture the
He went
people
down, down,
the people that
into
get
the
sent to
burning ring of fire.
the bad place. This is the bad place.
That's such a good show.
It really is. And basically, I mean, it's basically hell. There's no escape. There's no help. They are forever just being tortured there. Here, there is a winged snake with legs, so a dragon. And between his wings is a shadowy likeness of a man. His name is Atmu, and he's the north wind, basically. He sends breezes upon the land of Egypt. And he is helping Ra along with his breezes. And then the goddess of the 11th hour makes way for the goddess of the 12th hour, and she calls aloud the name of the guardian of the gate. And in the 12th country, darkness has fallen and births shine forth. So on the prow of the boat is the scarab of Khepera, ready to revive Ra. This land of Duat is very different than the others because this land is inside the body of a giant serpent. The 12 of Ra's worshippers are now using the snake to pull him through because he's still not like flowing freely on the river here. But here in the body of the serpent, Ra is transformed. Basically, he's brought back to life by Khepera. And then they come to the mouth of the serpent, and there are 12 goddesses. And they pull the boat the rest of the way to the eastern horizon of heaven or the sky. And with shouting and singing and joy and lots of cheering, the boat of Ra passes out of Duat and back into the sky for his journey, and it turns back into the other boat and is all luxurious again. And he starts his whole journey over and goes across the day sky and then starts that whole nightmarish scene over again. And that is the boat of Ra. That is his journey across the day sky and then through the underworld at night.
Listen, let me tell you, he is one busy man.
Yeah. But for most of it, he's dead.
Good. You know what? If I had to do that every single night for my job, I wouldn't be dead too.
Yeah, like, fuck this. So, yeah. And so the other part that we were going to do for this episode was the battle with Apep, but that's kind of built into the story of the boat of Ra. So we just kind of did it all in one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo! Okay. Anyways, the boat of Ra.
Yeah.
What a good time. Fuck that. Until next time.
Bye.